Welcome to The Explainer. Okay, jump right in with me here. What if I told you that a single, unusually quiet week in the upper atmosphere could completely dictate the price of the dal you're making for dinner tonight, or the sugar in your morning tea, or, get this, even the price of the fuel in your car? It sounds kind of unbelievable, right? But forces of nature and macroeconomics are literally colliding right now in a way that is going to directly impact your monthly grocery budget and, on a much larger scale, our country's entire energy independence.
So it all starts with this fairly startling emergency announcement that came out from the India Meteorological Department. Basically, the southwest monsoon just stopped. It ground to a complete halt and entered this severe subdued break phase. And right at the exact same time, the Agriculture Ministry put out data showing this massive, hidden storm brewing on Indian farms. We're seeing fields for staple foods shrinking super fast, while one very specific crop is experiencing an absolute boom. This invisible crisis is a huge deal for all of us, and it literally all starts with the rain.
Now, before we get into the crazy details, let's just make sure we've got our baseline facts straight. We need to talk about the primary agricultural cycle in India, the Kharif season. The southwest monsoon is quite literally the lifeblood of the Indian economy. You see, unlike a lot of Western countries that have these heavily automated, year-round artificial irrigation networks, nearly half of all farmland in India relies entirely on natural rain falling between June and September to kick off this crucial summer planting cycle.
To really get why the timing of this is so make or break, think of the monsoon like a critical municipal permit for a massive outdoor music festival. Imagine your entire yearly income depends on throwing this huge festival in July. You've got the stages set up, the vendors are ready, but the absolute prerequisite to open the gates is that clearance permit. If the city delays that permit by even a couple of weeks, your event window shrinks, suppliers start panicking, and you have to rapidly scale down the size of your festival just to survive financially. The monsoon is that permit. When it's delayed, the planting window just shrinks, and farmers hit a hard wall.
And right now, we are smack in the middle of what meteorologists call a severe monsoon break. This happens when this massive belt of low atmospheric pressure, the monsoon trough, actually shifts away from the central plains and just gets stuck right up against the Himalayan foothills. So all the heavy downpours are restricted strictly to the mountains. Meanwhile, the primary agricultural heartlands in central, northern, and western India are just left hot, completely dry, and rainless. It entirely stalls the planting process.
The brutal reality of this weather anomaly is honestly staggering. Because of the delayed and uneven arrival of the monsoon, which, by the way, is being heavily suppressed by the lingering effects of a weak El Niño system, total Kharif sowing across the country has plummeted by a shocking 16%. We are talking about a drop from 632 lakh hectares last year down to just 531 lakh hectares. That is a massive, massive chunk of agricultural land just sitting completely empty.
And it gets even wilder when you break down the individual crop categories. The numbers are incredibly stark. Pulses, which includes essential daily proteins like arhar, urad, and moong dal, took the absolute worst hit, collapsing by a devastating 23%. Coarse cereals, which includes water-efficient millets, plummeted by over 22%. And oilseeds like soybean, they fell 21%. So our absolute primary sources of daily nutrition are facing severe immediate acreage deficits.
The dry crisis is so widespread that even paddy, our country's primary summer rice staple, has seen its acreage shrink by 9%. Millions of hectares of fields that should be flooded in vibrant green right now are sitting completely dry and unplanted because of heat stress and dropping water tables. The foundation of the upcoming winter harvest is already on incredibly shaky ground.
But right in the middle of this widespread drought, right alongside all this shrinking food crop acreage, there is a massive anomaly. Despite the weak monsoon, the acreage for sugarcane, which is an incredibly thirsty, water-guzzling crop, didn't drop at all. In fact, it actually shot up. It scaled to 57.5 lakh hectares. That isn't just higher than last year's robust numbers. It comfortably beats the country's historical 5-year average.
So, you have to ask yourself, why? Why on earth are Indian farmers aggressively doubling down and planting this incredibly thirsty crop during a year when the heavens are literally refusing to rain? It completely defies traditional farming logic to abandon drought-resistant crops for water-intensive ones during a dry spell. Well, the answer isn't in the soil. It's actually a masterstroke of economic policy.
It all comes down to the Ethanol Blending Program, or E20. Over the past couple of years, the government has been pushing this aggressive green energy mandate to blend 20% plant-based ethanol into standard automotive petrol. Now, ethanol is essentially high-purity alcohol. So yeah, we are basically getting our cars slightly tipsy to save the environment. And in India, the absolute best, highest-yielding raw material used to brew this ethanol is molasses and heavy juice extracted directly from crushed sugarcane. This green mandate is radically shifting what farmers choose to grow.
To make this green transition actually work, the government did something pretty brilliant. Step 1, they guaranteed a highly lucrative, fixed procurement price for ethanol. That means oil marketing companies are forced to buy every single drop of sugarcane-derived alcohol produced. Step 2, this instantly transformed local sugar mills into high-margin green energy distilleries with this insatiable demand for raw cane. And Step 3, because these mills are now highly profitable, they can clear farmers' cash payments in a matter of days instead of dragging it out for months.
Think about the shift here. Historically, sugarcane farmers were totally at the mercy of localized sugar mills. They faced delayed payments, constantly ran out of cash, and sometimes waited years for their dues, which caused severe financial distress. But this new ethanol reality changes the game. For your average farmer dealing with a highly erratic monsoon, sugarcane is transformed from a risky bet into the ultimate financial insurance policy, and it's all backed by a green energy mandate. Even if they have to pump expensive groundwater just to keep the cane alive, that guaranteed fast-paying market makes it completely worth the cost.
Okay, but how does a subdued monsoon break and an explosion in sugarcane acreage actually alter your daily life? I mean, this isn't just distant rural farming data. This creates a direct, massive ripple effect that alters your monthly family budget, the broader economy, and even the nation's international trade balance.
The real-world impacts are happening right now. First off, because of that 23% drop in pulses and the 9% drop in rice, domestic supply is going to contract, while demand stays the exact same. The result? Skyrocketing grocery bills and a very tangible squeeze on middle-class disposable income over the next 2 quarters. But on the other side of the ledger, the sugarcane boom is a massive macroeconomic victory. Converting local cane into ethanol is drastically slashing our multi-billion-dollar foreign crude oil import bill. It keeps capital inside our borders, and it's creating thousands of rural green industrial jobs.
But, and this is a big but, there is a dangerous flip side to this macroeconomic victory. We are literally trading food security for fuel security. Our agricultural land is rapidly pivoting toward growing fuel components for cars instead of basic grains to feed people. If this trend keeps up, we might just be forced to spend billions importing expensive pulses and cooking oils from foreign nations, essentially turning a local farming success story into a really complex inflationary headache for the everyday consumer.
It leads us to a pretty profound realization. Fixing food inflation isn't just about waiting for the clouds to rain. It's about designing smart, balanced economic incentives. This situation totally proves that traditional government calls, simply encouraging farmers to grow water-efficient millets, will completely fail unless those specific crops receive the exact same lucrative, guaranteed government procurement prices and swift payment clearances that sugarcane currently enjoys. Ultimately, the market dictates the harvest.
So, as we wrap up this explainer on this incredibly delicate balancing act between green fuel goals and basic food affordability, I want to leave you with a massive question to ponder. Now that our agricultural land is rapidly pivoting toward powering vehicles instead of feeding citizens, should the government step in and cap the use of sugarcane for ethanol to prioritize affordable food prices, or should we keep pushing for full energy independence at literally all costs? Let me know your thoughts on this in the comments below, and we'll see you in the next explainer.